Welcome to the Spring to Life method. I'm Caitlin, and this is Refresh and Recover Passive Foam Rolling. All you need is a full-length foam roller for this one, and we're just going to move through a couple of poses here. This is meant to be passive and for your body. I'm going to stay for a minute or two in each, but if you feel like you need more, feel free to pause the video and stay in that pose until you're ready to move on. Before we get moving, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that we can stay consistent with our Pilates practice. So we are going to start with the foam roller long ways on your mat. And you're going to support your spine with the roller. So we're going to bring our bottom to one end, ease your spine into the roller, and we're going to keep the knees bent. And you can decide on a position here. If you want to keep your knees open, you can do that. I personally like to drop my knees in towards each other here for a little more stability and gives me a little bit of a sacral stretch. Now from here, we're going to reach our arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing in, bend the elbows to 90 degrees, and then just allow the arms to fall open to the sides. And this is where we'll begin here. Breathing deeply and allowing gravity to stretch open the chest and pull your arms down towards the floor. Now, depending on how tight you are through your pec muscles in your chest, this may feel more or less intense. Focus on your breath here. And just settle in against the roller. If you want to add a little bit of movement, you can either start to fold the arms in towards each other over your chest and allow them to melt open again. And every time they drape open, you're maybe feeling a little bit more pull of gravity opening your chest. Almost like you're closing and opening a book here. Alternatively, keeping the elbows bent, you can draw your elbows in towards your waist and reach your fingertips towards each other over your head, like you're drawing some bent arm snow angels. So you can just play with what feels good here, or if you just like having those arms stationary to the sides. We'll take a few more deep breaths here. With your next exhale, we're just going to let those elbows drip down, turning your palms towards the floor, and then gracefully curve off to one side here. And we're going to turn the roller crossways on our mat for the rest of our foam rolling. So now you want to position that roller kind of just below your shoulder blades, closer to the mid-back. Again, knees are bent, feet are planted. Back of the pelvis is dropping into the mat. We're going to stack the hands to support the neck. Let your head drop back into your hands and just extend over the roller. And use your exhale to curve forward. Now, depending on how firm your foam roller is, this might feel more intense. Also, depending on how tight you are through your mid-thoracic spine there. So just kind of play if you need to bring it a little bit lower or maybe a little bit higher towards the blades. You can find a position that works for you. And then if it feels okay to let your head hang back over the roller, we're just going to take a few deep breaths here. Maybe feeling like the crown of your head is dropping a little bit closer towards the mat, still supporting your neck with your hands. Maybe adding a little side to side, bending here, very small, very gentle. And then find stillness in the center. Draw your elbows in narrow and curl yourself forward. Grab the back of your legs to lift up off the roller. We're going to pull it in a little bit closer to us. Bring your hips up on top and then curve them under. We're going to bring our head down, shoulders down on the mat. So now the roller should be under kind of the flat part of the back of your hips. You don't want it to be in your low back because then you can see my butt is kind of hanging over. You want your butt to be supported and find a little length in that lumbar spine. Now from here, we're just going to stretch the legs out and maybe rock through the heels a little bit. As you do this, you could maybe grab your elbows above your head if you want a little bit more chest opening. And as you rock through the heels here, you should feel the front of your hips stretching open. And then just find some stillness here, maybe tipping your pelvis right and left, exploring the back of your hips a little bit. Noticing if it's easier to tip into one hip than the other. And then bring your legs in under you if they're splayed wide. We're going to bring the arms down by our sides and pull one knee in towards the chest. Try to interlace your fingers around the front of that shin. And you should notice immediately that that opposite hip flexor gets a really deep, intense stretch. So we're just going to hang out here for a little bit. Trying to breathe deeply, using every exhale to create a little bit more space, a little bit more stretch. Imagine somebody underneath you grabbing that ankle of the long leg, pulling it gently away from that hip socket, giving you a little more length, a little more stretch. You could circle the ankle of the bent knee, both directions. Give it a little deeper squeeze, see if you can get a little more out of it. And then gently release that leg down. We'll swap the legs, lengthen the opposite leg, pull the other knee into your chest. And notice maybe this side feels a little tighter. Here my long leg is floating completely off the mat. On this side, I'm a little tighter in this hip flexor. So you just notice these imbalances. Maybe you spend a little bit more time on your tighter side. Breathing deeply through the nose. And then you'll find that you get a little release, a little more space, a little more length. Circling the ankle of the bent knee a few times in each direction. Taking a moment to pull that hip in a little deeper. And then we'll gently release. Let's bend both knees. One more thing here with the hips up on top of the foam roller. We're going to squeeze our legs together like we have one leg. Palm the ends of your roller so that your back has to turn on a little bit for stability. And then we're just going to tip side to side, a little mini tick-tock here on top of the roller. And as you roll into each hip, you're getting a little pressure into that fascia. You might notice that now one of your glutes feels tighter than the other. And if the roller has started to slip away from you towards your tailbone, you're going to need to bring it in just a little closer so that you can really roll on the meaty part of the back of your hips here. So you can kind of explore this a little bit, maybe trying slightly different positions, a little bit higher, a little bit lower. and then stay to one side. Try to keep the knees together so you're not letting the back knee drop and slide away. You're keeping them glued so that back hip has to lift off the roller. And just try to take a few deep breaths. Anchor the opposing shoulder. And then when you can't really take it anymore, bring it through the center. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Find your tender spot. Try to take a few deep breaths. Pull that opposite shoulder down into the mat. And bring it through the center. We'll gently bring the feet down, pick your hips up, and slide the roller out. Let's rock her up. We've got one more release to do here. So the foam roller stays crosswise, horizontal on your mat. We're going to do a deep psoas release. So the psoas is the muscle that comes up underneath your hip flexor. When it gets tight, sometimes our low back can also get tight. So this is a really beneficial release, but it can be very uncomfortable. So bear with me. Don't stay in it longer than you feel comfortable with. But basically, we want to get the foam roller positioned under the ribs and above the hips. So you got to find your bony landmarks, and that is the space that the roller is going to fit between. So we're going to carefully come down onto our bellies and try to get it into the squishy part of your gut. And you can take a few moments here on your forearms and maybe just do a little rock side to side as you find that fascia. And then when you feel like you've got it in the right spot, you're going to try to stack your hands and just rest your forehead down. Notice if you're pulling your shoulders to your ears, relax your traps, relax your neck, and try to just breathe into your belly. You might be able to feel your heartbeat against the foam roller, your pulse anyway. It might make you feel a little nauseous. So just try to take a few deep breaths. Stay here for as long as you're comfortable with. Let's take one more big breath here. Try to fill your belly with air. Release, exhale it out. And then carefully fold the elbows in. Lift up and off that roller. Let's take a child's pose here to finish. So toes together, knees wide. You can use the roller if you like that to drape your forearms and just let your forehead drop down to the mat. Getting a little bonus shoulder stretch here. Hips dropping back to the heels. One more deep breath here. Then we'll scoop our abdominals in, stacking the spine, and roll the shoulders out. Hopefully you're feeling refreshed. Thanks for moving with me. That was Refresh and Restore Passive Foam Rolling from the Spring to Life method. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that we can stay consistent with our Pilates practice together.